Good morning, students. This is English for academic and professional purposes. And for today's lesson, we are going to discuss summarizing. And we are now in Unit 3. So the things that you are going to learn from this lesson are, first is you are going to acquire knowledge of appropriate reading strategies for a better understanding of academic texts. So of course, since you are going to have your research in the future, it is very important that you're going to have or acquire appropriate reading strategies. That is for better understanding of academic texts or what texts you're going to include in your research work. And also the skills that you're going to enhance at the end of this lesson are you're going to enhance your reading comprehension, your gleaning for information, and the skill in summarizing. So first let us define what is a summary. So as it's stated here, a summary is a brief statement. Brief meaning short. It is a brief statement or restatement of main points, especially as a conclusion to a work. So when you are about to conclude on your point, you are doing a summary or you're wrapping it up. So in summary, or to wrap it up, so that is what you are doing. And another one, a summary of a chapter. It is a brief, detailed outline, and it has the heads or the main points, subheads or the subpoints of a discourse to be completed. Okay, so that is according to dictionary.com. When you're making a detailed outline, it contains the main points and the subpoints. You don't really discuss it very thoroughly, just the main points and the subpoints. So that is what composes a summary. So it's asking here why summarizing is an important skill. Why do you think so? Of course, in your work, you are not going to include everything that you have read from a book or from an academic text. You're going to get the summary of it, and then you're going to include it in your research work, let's say. So it says here that summarizing teaches students how to discern the most important ideas in a text. As what I've said, you're not going to include everything, like you're just going to copy and paste and that is your work. No, you're not going to do that. What you're going to do is you are going to look for the most important points in the text that you're going to include in your work, like your paperwork, most importantly the research paper. And you're going to look for the important points, and at the same time you're going to ignore irrelevant information, and you're going to integrate the central ideas in meaningful way. So in summarizing, you can include two different works with the same point. So you look for the important ideas and ignore irrelevant ideas, and whatever you have learned from the different texts that you have read, you're going to integrate their ideas to come up with your own idea. So teaching students to summarize improves their memory for what is read. Of course, if you don't know how to summarize things, it only means that you don't understand what you are reading. Therefore, if you can summarize what you have read, it only means that you have remembered what you have read. Summarization strategies can be used in almost every content area. So as long as you are learning, you are reading books from different subjects. If you can summarize the content of it, it only means that you have learned or you have understood what you have read. And once you have understood it, it means that it is yours. You have acquired the knowledge you have learned. So congratulations to you. So it is a very important skill for every student for them to learn how to summarize or text that they have read, whatever it is. Doesn't only mean that because I'm going to do a research paper, research work, I need to do summarizing. Nope. It says here that summarization strategies can be used in almost every content area. Let's proceed. So we have different techniques for effective summarizing. First is previewing. Previewing is getting the idea of what the book or the text is all about without reading the main body of the text. Okay, so you are going to make a good guess what the book is all about. Okay, you take the book from the library, let's say, and then you're going to have a quick look at it, and then you're going to investigate what the book is all about. That is previewing. Next is skimming and scanning. So these are reading techniques that use rapid eye movement and keywords to move quickly through the text for slightly different purposes. So both skimming and scanning use the rapid eye movement. It means that you're only looking for the details that you need. But skimming and scanning are used for different purposes. You use skimming when you are looking for the overall view of a material, and scanning is looking for specific facts. Example, you have taken a book from the library and you would want to know what the book is all about, so you're going to do the rapid eye movement and then get the overall or general overview of a material. Let us say that you have your topic for your research, and the most important thing to do is to look for review of related literature. Of course, you cannot take any book for you to include in your review of related literature. It has to be related to your work. So how are you going to choose like 13 works from different authors in a short period of time? What you're going to do is you skim. You get the book, but as of this moment, we're not using the book anymore, but it's in a PDF. But let's say we don't have a PDF, or we are short of resources from the internet. All we have is the books from the library. Okay, so you have to look at the content of that material and relate it to your work. If it is related, then it is included for your review of related literature. Of course, you have to consider the date of publication. It should be 5 years, not later than 5 years. So if it's 2020, it should be 2015, the most. Okay, so that is skimming, looking for the general or looking at the general overview of the material. I hope that is clear. While scanning, this is still using the rapid eye movement, but your purpose here is to look for specific facts or answer to a question. Example, you have a book, and the book is about history, and you would want to know who was the president for that year. So you're going to look for the year, and then once you have found the year, maybe after that year is the name of the president for that year. So that is scanning. You are looking for a specific answer to your question. All right, so I hope that is clear. So the techniques for effective summarizing, again, it's reviewing, skimming, and scanning. We have skimming methods here. Again, skimming is looking for the general overview of the material. And skimming also has these techniques in how to skim effectively. First is beginnings and endings. Okay, so again, It's looking at the general overview of the material. You're not going to read everything from the book page by page. So to make it quick, you're going to look at the beginnings or the introduction or the front page of the book and the endings, the conclusion, or at the back of the book, there are reviews as to what the book is all about. So you're going to read first and the last sentences of the paragraphs, first and last paragraphs of major sections, and introductions and summaries of chapters. For textbooks, they do have chapter summaries, but for other materials, they don't have it. So the best thing to do is to look for the introduction and the conclusion. For research works, they do have chapter summaries, like for the background of the study, for the review of related literature, for the results or the methods used, and the conclusion, the findings. They do have those chapter summaries. Okay, so let us proceed now to the next method for skimming, that is wheat versus chaff. Wheat and chaff. In our language, they are the lugas and the humay. No, humay is the palay, and tahop, tahop, that is the chaff. Okay, so read only the amount of text necessary to determine if a section presents a main idea or support for a main idea. Okay, so going back to the first thing that we have read about summarizing, we are going to discern important ideas and ignore irrelevant information. That is the meaning of wheat and chaff, or lugas and tahop. Of course, we do not eat the tahop, only the lugas or yung bigas. Okay, let's proceed now to another skimming method, that is visual and verbal cues. So we have to watch for signal words and phrases that indicate an author's direction. So we have examples, e.g. exempli gratia. The examples are however, although, moreover, in addition to. So those are the clues given by the author. It means that he is going to an important point, showing us an important point. Next, things to focus on while skimming. The introduction and the conclusion. This is the beginnings and the endings. Next, chapter or section summaries, first and last sentences, titles, subtitles, and headings. Headings are somewhat the title, but it is the title for that chapter, so that's the heading. The bold words could be the main word that needs to be defined. We look at the charts, graphs, or pictures. Research works do have charts, graphs, and pictures. And end of chapter review questions. This is for academic texts or books related to schools, books that we use in schools. They do have chapter review questions, but other books don't have it. Okay, so we are now in paraphrasing. So it is summarizing and paraphrasing. So paraphrasing is not producing a direct copy of another person's ideas or work. Okay, so again, in a research paper, you are not going to do copy pasting. You can use their ideas, but you're not going to produce a direct copy of their work. So you're not doing a research, you're just doing copy pasting. And it's not an academic text. Okay, so that is a work of plagiarism, and we do not tolerate that. Every research work is dependent upon different research works. So a research project is a compilation of different research works, but it has been paraphrased many times using the skill of the grammarian or the researcher himself or herself to produce a unique version of those research works. In Turnitin, it is a software used for checking the plagiarism of a research work and the acceptable percentage of similarity in research works is only below 10%. So most of the works that I am looking at when I'm about to paraphrase the works of those who are graduating from the master's degree, I get their work at 40% and I paraphrase their work in like in a span of a week. Then I have to come up with less than 10%. But before I will give it to them, I'll make sure that it's about 7% similar to the original work or original works, compilation works. Okay, so it is not easy. Well, if you would like to graduate with flying colors, especially master's degree and college degree or college level, you need to have a passing grade in your research. It's the most hated subject of every student. It's because of the the difficult process that you need to undergo for you to complete the research paper. And one of the difficult things to do is to paraphrase what you have copied from different works or research works. Okay, so this is a challenge for you to be very good in paraphrasing. That is why we are having this subject to teach you and how to paraphrase. We're now on the second point. Paraphrasing is rewriting another person's words so that the original meaning of their idea is maintained, but the structure and words you use are quite different to theirs. Okay, the idea is there, but you have to maintain the idea, but you use your own words. So we have to have a training on this. Let us proceed now to the next point. So when you paraphrase, the words and structures you use should sound something you would normally say or write. So therefore, paraphrasing is presenting the idea and information of others in your own voice. It's just like you have listened to a chismis or you have listened to a news and then your friend asks you, "Uy, ano yung balita?" or "What is the news all about?" And of course, you have heard the news. You can say it in your own words. Ay, ganito yung nangyari. You can say it without a copy. Therefore, you can also paraphrase somebody else's work, as long as you understood what it is all about. Okay, next. Paraphrasing is not necessarily presenting the original text in an elaborate way, but in a way that flows with your expression. So as depending on how you understood the point, you're going to do it that way or explain it that way. Next, paraphrasing is if you want to write very closely to the original text, then you may need to consider whether it's worthy of a direct quote or if you have to work more at expressing it in your own voice. So there are statements by the author that needs to be direct quoted. Example are the quotes that they will be very known for. Birds of the same feather flock together. Those are quotes that needed to be direct quoted. Okay, but you don't want to do it frequently. Only the points that, if it is giving them a label of that author, like when people hear these these statements, they remember these people. Ang kabataan ay pag-asa ng ating bayan. So you already know who said that. Okay? Those things need to be direct coded. Not everything. Okay? Let us have now the techniques in paraphrasing. Because I said it's difficult, then we need to have the techniques. Okay, first is you need to write down just 3 keywords. Again, we have had our discussion in summarizing. Once you have read the material and you have understood what it is all about, you have to do now the techniques in paraphrasing. It says here that write down just 3 keywords. Okay, so as you are reading and understanding what you have read, you keep on writing. Make sure that you have your pen and paper or you're working in a computer. But for me, it's more effective if you're going to write it using the pen and paper. Okay, you have the keywords. You don't write everything, but just the keywords. In a sense that once you have read those keywords, you can explain it in your own. And explaining it in your own words is paraphrasing. Okay, next, cover the page and look away. So once you're done reading a passage, let's say a paragraph, and you have understood what you have read, you cover, it says that you have to cover the page, you look away, and then you see it on your own. That is paraphrasing. Next, write your own version of what you just read using just the 3 words as a guide. And in your version, try to use different structure or ordering of ideas within sentences and in the piece as a whole. Okay, so it says here, use a different structure. If the statement started with a subject, like it is important to go to school as teenagers. So you can start with your subject. Going to school was the first subject. You can transpose it like your subject would be the teenagers instead of going to school. Okay, you're going to have a different version of it in your own words. Next, look back at the passage and check it against your version. Write down just 3 keywords, then okay, so this is a repetition. Okay, so the last is look back at the passage and check it against your version. And then check your keywords again, if the keywords that you have written are correct. Look back at the passage. So once you have said the passage in your own words, you have to check it if, did I understand it correctly? Am I saying the right thing? Or maybe I am making a statement which is not based on a research. It is very important because those are the things that you're going to be asked by the panel of what do you call those? The panelists. Let's just call it that way. Okay, so when you're done paraphrasing, you're going to ask these questions to yourself. Did you cover the main ideas? Were most of the words your own? Was the order or structure of your passage different to the one above or the original passage? Well, if you did all of these things, you remember to always reference the original correctly, then you have paraphrased successfully. It says here, remember to always reference the original correctly. That is referencing or writing the source from where you have gotten the idea. Okay, now we are in the assessment. So you have to answer these questions. First is, what is a summary? You still remember. What is previewing? Pre means before, so previewing. So how is skimming different from scanning? And why should you write a summary of your research? If you have questions, kindly write them at the comment section on this video. And for your performance task, just wait for it because I'm going to upload it in Google Classroom or Google Drive. Thank you so much for listening, and this is the end of our lesson. Have a nice day and God bless you all.